Some of you have heard people talk about the qualities of a good leader and the qualities of a good teacher. As a matter of fact, I've made mention in a couple of my previous audios in regards to the qualities of a good leader and a good teacher. But today I want to talk about a good student. I believe there are certain characteristics that are required for a student to be considered as good, to be effective. And some people take their learning responsibility and place it entirely on the teacher. And it's not. It's a mutual relationship. The teacher teaches the knowledge, but the student is supposed to obtain the knowledge and apply it. And sometimes we don't talk about that. So today we're going to talk about the good student. The number one thing that a good student does is listen. Period. They listen to what's being taught to them. Their mind is clear. When they go into the classroom, when they go into the session, when it's time for the counseling, when it's time for the advice, their mind is clear, which means it's free of judgment. It's free of presupposition. It is free of any type of superficiality. It is free of any burdens. It's emptied. And how many times have you heard people say at school or at the job, before you come in, make sure you leave your problems at the door? And that's what a good student does. Now, all of us are trying to get through this thing called life, and sometimes it's hard to leave our problems at the door. But if we are on a path to knowledge, whether it's for a job, whether it's for school, whether it's for strengthening relationships, regardless of what it's for, in order to obtain all the knowledge properly, you have to be able to be open and be willing to listen. You can't assume anything before you go in there. Understand, you're the student, they are the teacher, which means they know more about the subject you're going in there to learn about than you do. Obtain as much information as you can. Now, the second thing that a good student does, they do research on their own. Now, I know this kind of flies in the face of what people would say, but I know there's some of my peers right now that believe every single spiritual leader, doctor, and everything that comes on TV in regard to their faith. And the problem is that they're more confused in regards to their faith and spirituality than they were before they even adopted spirituality and faith. They're talking from 6 different directions. And that's a bad thing. So when they're confused like that and don't have a sense of direction, then confusing things happen in their lives. It's like that energy is being brought into play. The spirit of confusion has been brought into the situation and is permeating everything in their lives. It's creating communication problems within the household. It's creating financial problems within the household. It affects your job performance because now your mind has got 20 different types of doctrine from 20 different people and 30 different sources. So when you do your research, use judgment. Use common sense. Listen to the voice that's inside of you. I had to learn the hard way. If you want to try to learn something well, make sure that you're in the mind frame to learn all of it. If you want to learn something well, make sure you're in the mind frame to learn all of it. And what you learn, get more. You don't have to hang on every word of one person. Try to research it yourself as well. But be careful. Consider your sources. Let your gut instincts kick in. If something doesn't add up that someone is saying, then more than likely there's a reason for that. This is a good way to combat and deal with false prophets. A lot of false prophets are successful because they prey on the weaknesses of people who are seeking knowledge. They seek out people who are spiritually void of strength. They seek them out. They know what words to use. And speaking of words, beware of buzzwords. Beware of the flavor of the week type words. Words that you hear in topics of conversation in the media all the time from different people who claim to be teachers. Because if you got 20 different people that are using the same word to apply to everything, then you need to question that. And I'm going to give you one right now. I'm going to tell you. There's a situation on the media and social media where there's some people that are seeking spiritual enlightenment. They're looking to take a better path. They're looking within so they can live a better quality of life. I'm on that journey myself. And I have numerous people that I seek counsel from that have been down that path to give me the information I need to head in the right direction. But every time I pay attention to those people, I take common sense with me. I take the divine with me before I listen to the lesson. And when they say something that seems to be a little bit off color, you can pick it up right away. And what a lot of the false prophets will do is they'll take the buzzword of the week and they'll use that constantly in a way to try to gain followers, to try to gain the attention of as many people as possible, because they could be on a platform where they're getting monetized. They could be a public speaker, and they figure if they get enough emotional reaction from the crowd, then they will be booked for more sessions so they can make more money. The bottom line is it all boils down to money. And the more people that you have that pay attention to what you have to say, the more money you could possibly make. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's a business. However, don't do it just for the sake of money. Make sure that you are walking the talk. Because there's going to be somebody who knows differently. And then these same people, when the numbers start to dip a little bit and their pocketbook is a little light, then they turn around and they go back out to the same crowd of people that they have following them, and all of a sudden their message is negative. All of a sudden they're not all sunshines and rainbows anymore. They speak in a condemnation. They speak in a negative tone to people. Start calling people names if there's something called a Q&A or a live chat. They start talking negative to them, whereas before when everything was great and those pockets were fat, all of a sudden it was like, hi, how are you doing? Oh, thank you for tuning in. Oh, that's so wonderful. But when the numbers start to drop a little bit, and their monetization or their endorsements aren't that great because they're in a bad mood, they've gone from, hey, how you doing in the chat, to, oh, you're a narcissist. Oh, you're a vamp. Oh, you're an energy vampire. Oh, you know what? Don't say that. I didn't say that. Just argumentative and disagreeable. You have to watch these people. Now, I'm going to tell you what I do. I have a list of people that I talk to, that I listen to all the time for guidance in regards to different areas of spirituality. And there's not a single one of them that I 100% agree with because we're different people. We're different human beings. So what I'll do is I'll take whatever lesson that applies to me that I find useful, and I take it at that. I humbly thank them for it, and I keep it moving. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to take one person and hang on their every word. And every time every time I say something to somebody and talk to them in conversation about something, I'm talking about, oh, so-and-so, so-and-so, Miss this, Mr. that, prophet this, reverend that. Sound like a little parakeet every time you talk to somebody. Oh, let me share with you what so-and-so said. Every time you come out your mouth, what you're doing is you're not thinking for yourself. You're thinking for that prophet or minister or whoever it is. That's who you're thinking for. But I mean, those people get on my nerves every 2 seconds. All you have to do is say, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?" And you know what? Speaker so-and-so says so-and-so. Doctor so-and-so says so-and-so. Professor so-and-so says so-and-so. Every time you have a conversation with them, you're talking about that one person. That person doesn't give you that much of attention, so why are you giving them that much attention? That's the classic case of someone who has not been a good student. Now, the thing is that if you are out here and you are a spiritual leader, your goal is to help people live a better quality of life. Your goal is not to have people emotionally dependent on you so they can keep giving you money for services or tuning into them so you can get paid. That's not right. That's ill intent. And if anybody out here is doing it, it's a matter of time before your pockets are going to be empty. Because people are going to get hip to the game. If you're going to come in a spirit of help, help. Now, as some of you know, that I do some life coaching in certain areas. And my goal is to help people when they get to a certain point in the sessions. I feel that they're able to handle things from this point on. I let the reins loose. I let them go. I don't sit there and come up with convoluted reasons in my mind in every session so they can keep contacting me, so they can keep paying me by the hour. That's not right. That's ill intent. These people needed help and I gave it to them. I go into the sessions understanding that this is not going to last forever, that this person's not going to be here forever. And if anyone exhibits the behavior that's indicative of some kind of dependent personality disorder, which is beyond my realm to diagnose, then what I will do is I will terminate the sessions and go ahead and recommend that they seek psychological treatment. I'm not afraid to let go. And I'm not going to pretend to be qualified in something I'm not qualified in, because this is a person's life we're talking about. The right way to do things, and I'm coming from this experience, if you ever have been given a diagnosis where you require psychological treatment, you go ahead and you get that treatment first, and then you go into the life coaching a little bit later on. You don't do the life coaching in lieu of psychological treatment, and some of y'all, that's exactly what you're doing because you don't want to admit that you need psychological treatment. It's not a life coach's job to play armchair psychiatrist. No, there's two totally different things. My job is after the fact, after the treatment is done and everything else. My job is to kind of help you get back out there and get things going for yourself in your new life. That's what my job is. My job is not to diagnose. But you'd be surprised how many spiritual advisors that are out here, armchair psychiatrists and everything else, they know in the back of their mind that your situation is not that serious. But every time they have a session with you, they're asking these questions, and they make you feel worse than you did before you go into the session. And what happens is after a while, because you feel so bad, you're thinking in your mind that you're worse off than you were and that you need this person. It's creating a sense of dependence, and you guys have to watch out for that. So what a good student does is a good student pulls from different sources to create their own reality. They don't depend on one person to help them lead their new life. The only one source that they really should depend on is their creator. But as far as the human existence goes, no. You don't need to be chasing behind Professor so-and-so and Dr. so-and-so, and there's nothing wrong with giving them credit, but understand that one person shouldn't be the sole reason why you have a new life. That's idolatry. And if you look at the Ten Commandments and read deep into it, for those of you who read the Bible and who are Bible scholars, it will go into detail. That's a form of idolatry. So be a good student. Have it in your mind to be prepared to do some research. Have it in your mind to be prepared to listen. And have it in your mind to try to have a clear conscience and a clear mind before you go in for your learning. And whatever's taught to